This is Whipping It Out with Anthony Cumia on the Red Apple Podcast Network. Now, here's Anthony Cumia.
Hey, everybody. So we saw Donald Trump sign a proclamation. That it is Columbus Day on Monday. Columbus Day. This is great because for the past few years, especially under the Biden administration, whoever was running that thing, we've seen a lot of American institutions just thrown to the wayside. We've seen heroes, heroic men of history thrown to the wayside. Statues, of course, monuments to great people, torn down, melted down, vandalized. And this is a step in the right direction to correct some of that nonsense. You know, Columbus, we all know the story. Do I have to go through it? 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. I love these people that try to put history into the context of the nonsense that's going on in 2025. The past few years, we have seen Columbus portrayed as a terrible conqueror, an invader. The poor indigenous people of the Americas were victim to his cruelty. And that's all you hear. It's because the people that are telling you this are incredibly stupid and don't really have any historical knowledge about the times. They put every single thing, regardless of when it happened, into the context of it's 2020, 2025, and I'm virtue signaling. So the poor indigenous people were obviously victims of the conquerors who came over here and had nothing but ill will to the native people of the Americas. Well, if you use a little bit of common sense, I think you can understand that back in the late 1400s, a trip across the Atlantic Ocean wasn't a guarantee you were going to make it. It wasn't easy. And these were very brave people. These are the people that helped move us forward in history to bring us to the place we are today. And the same rules that we go by today, especially these moronic, made up virtue signaling, these fake ethics that these people profess to have, they don't understand what that must have been like. You set sail from Spain in 3 ships and you reach the shores of the New World, and there are people there. The indigenous people of the Americas are there. I guess in their mind, in the dummies, in their mind today, Columbus should have just went, all right, turn it around, guys. There are people here. We got to go back. We'll tell Isabella, sorry, all the money and time and lives invested in coming here, there are people. So we turned around. Isn't that the right thing to do? They also don't understand that you set out on these expeditions with supplies that got you to where you were going, hopefully. And then you had to make for yourself. You had to resupply if you were going to go back home. If you were colonizing, you'd leave some people behind. You'd get enough supplies to make your way back. The people that stayed have to learn how to hunt some of the animals native to the new land, how to build shelters, and how to deal with the native people of the land that you've just come to. You just traveled for quite some time on ships across the Atlantic. You reach this new land. There are people there. You're sick. You're probably not in the best health, eating what you've eaten for the time it took to get to where you're going. The last thing you want is now you're going to battle. You're going to battle some strong indigenous people that know the land better than you do. No, you're going to try to have some kind of a civil relationship with them. Maybe trade, stay on good terms as long as you can. Jeez. But again, these idiots know nothing about history, so they assume that Columbus came over as a conquering invader. This is how things worked back then. People set off on these expeditions to find out. It's curiosity. What's on the other side of the horizon? And I guess we shouldn't have done any of that. There are indigenous people everywhere. You didn't just turn around and come back and explain that there were people there, so you couldn't stay. But they don't think like that. And it was good to see Donald Trump signing a proclamation. Is really nothing. It's like a figurehead. If someone's a figurehead, it's not a legal binding document, but it's great that it shows that we have leadership in this country, in Donald Trump, that recognizes the greatness of some of our forefathers. And as an Italian, I appreciate that too, seeing how Columbus has been villainized for years now, to the point where the statues, you see the statues being torn down. That's a big thing that transpired over the Biden regime and a few administrations before that. I mean, I think we all remember the statues coming down of Teddy Roosevelt, his great, amazing statue in front of the New York American Museum of Natural History. This thing has been there. I remember going on field trips when I was a kid from Long Island, and you go to the city, and that first sight you saw when the bus pulled up and you're all excited to see the dinosaur bones was this amazing giant statue of Teddy Roosevelt, a great outdoorsman, a great naturist, and of course, a president of the United States, on horseback. And it was huge, majestic, an amazing piece of art. And he's flanked by a black man and an American Indian. And it was supposed to portray what Teddy Roosevelt did. And all three men were exploring and opening up parts of America that had never been seen. And this was looked at by some of these idiots as offensive, like somehow the Indian and the black man are being subjugated. They're part of the exploration, the wonder of the West. And all they saw was, the white guy on the horse and the oppressed Native American and African. And they took that statue and ripped it out of the ground, and God knows where they put it. And we saw a lot of other statues suffering the same fate. Some statues a little more controversial. Civil War heroes. Robert E. Lee, his statue was ripped out of the ground and melted down. And I think people assumed that was going to make race relations better. Interesting. Did it? How's that working out? All it does is try to hide history. And it stops curiosity and debate over these monuments and the people that they were put up for, to portray. I mean, if you're walking around with a child and your kid sees this amazing, again, majestic statue of Robert E. Lee on his horse, it gives a great opportunity for the parent to talk to the child about the Civil War and Robert E. Lee. And maybe your opinion isn't very high of Robert E. Lee. So now you could discuss that and why the Civil War happened and how it tore the country apart. And it just opens up the opportunity for a lot of discussion to educate people on who these monuments were built for. When were they built? A lot of Civil War monuments were built in the early 1900s. Who built them? What was their take on this? Are they being portrayed heroically or as villains, and why? And it's so much more constructive than just tearing it out like a rotten tooth and throwing it in the garbage. Now you have an opportunity to spark a conversation. You're walking around, you see a statue, you read the name, you don't know who it is. You'll look it up on your phone. Now you're being educated. You're educating yourself as to who this person was and what they represented.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Lifelong Democrat Diana Florence served for 25 years as a Manhattan prosecutor under DA Robert Morgenthau. She put criminals away, stood up for victims, and protected our streets. Now, Diana is challenging failed Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg as an independent because it's time for a DA who fights for our families, not criminals. That's why Diana has won the support of organized labor, like the steamfitters, plumbers, and ironworkers, everyday New Yorkers who want a DA they can trust. Manhattan needs a DA who will do the job, prosecute crime. That's Diana Florence. Under Alvin Bragg, crime is up and prosecutions are down. Bragg doesn't prosecute crime. He plays partisan politics. Bragg failed to protect women and failed to protect workers. As a prosecutor, Diana Florence won groundbreaking convictions, fighting against corruption, domestic violence, wage left, and deadly working conditions. She's always been a partner of unions, community groups, and to cops like us. For Manhattan District Attorney, vote for Diana Florence. Diana4DA.com. Paid for by Diana for Manhattan DA.
The idea of destroying this, while, by the way, the liberals will say that conservatives are Nazis who are burning books. Well, sorry. The books are being taken out of elementary schools because they portray sexual deviancy that the parents don't want their kids to be reading. And that's considered Nazi book burning. But it's this great, noble American thing to destroy these amazing works of art that are 100 years old. Just beautiful in just aesthetically, they're beautiful. And then they give you this opportunity to learn something and educate yourself, and perhaps opens up a discussion or a debate about who these people were. But no, just rip them out, make it like it never happened, melt it down, and move along, people. Nothing to see here. That, if you ask me, is a lot more like the Nazis or any other thing. You see a lot of Islamic countries destroying statues and monuments built to other religions. And we look at that as being some savage, archaic thing to do. Meanwhile, instead of talking about it, let's just yank it out, melt it down, and make like it never happened. Disgusting. But I'm glad to see Trump with that proclamation. It's moving forward. And again, putting Columbus where he should be, held up as a great explorer and a great Italian. Thank you for watching. And we'll see you Sunday, 3 hours of Anthony fun, 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern time on WABC Radio.
Thanks for listening to Whipping It Out with Anthony Cumia. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?